Hello, and welcome to the Doc Mo Show. This is the first episode of season 2, and I'm so excited to bring you all new content every single week. And so today, we're going to talk about why it happens that we get so exhausted. For one thing, why your doctor checks lab tests, but everything comes out normal. Why you try so many things, supplements, diets, exercises, all these different things, other solutions and products that never seem to work. No matter what you do, what you try, how strictly you stick to these things, you still don't get any progress. And that can be super frustrating. And I will say that it even happened to me in the past. And so we're going to dive into why those things happen and what the solution is, what to do about that, because that's really what we all want to know. So grab a warm drink, take a deep breath, and let's dive in. To kick this one off, I want to just put it out there that I am a medical doctor. I started off in the mainstream medical system. I was traditionally trained, got my degree, and really the way they train us is to diagnose diseases. And then based on what type of diseases we find, then we will prescribe medications to match the disease. And that's, I would say, the majority of what healthcare is. And the way we're taught to diagnose diseases is through a series of different lab tests, imaging studies that we can do. Some of that is listening to the patient's story in the exam room and those sorts of things. Now, one thing that really bothered me while I was in the traditional medical system is that so many times I would have patients come in and they would have all these problems or symptoms, especially fatigue, especially when they had thyroid problems. And we're going to touch on a lot of thyroid this season because I think that's one big area where a lot of people are getting left behind. And for me, I'm the type of person who dots every I, crosses every T, and I realized that I was doing the protocols, checking the lab tests, the appropriate things and what we're supposed to check based on the symptoms that my patients would come in with, but a lot of times their labs would come out normal. But yet I believed them. And this sounds crazy, but they really do teach us that if we can't find the problem, if the prescriptions aren't working, then the patient must be depressed. And so our next step of action should be to put them on an antidepressant. I'll get more into how that whole thing works when we talk about thyroid, but yeah, that happens. And it probably has happened to a lot of you all. And that's not the right thing. I would ask my patients, hey, are you depressed? Do you have something going on where you feel like maybe your mood is being lower than what you would think? And so many people would say, I'm not depressed, doc. I just feel tired and I don't know why. Something definitely is not right in my body. And so I was kind of in a stuck place with trying to figure out, how do I help my patients who have these symptoms? The lab tests aren't showing anything. What am I supposed to do? I actually believe my patients, which the majority of doctors that I was working with at the time, who I was training under, did not believe the patients. They were like, what are you doing? Just put them on an antidepressant and move on. And I would always get in trouble for spending way too much time with the patients. That's how I ended up having to just quit altogether, start my own practice, build it up from scratch, and really help people the way that they needed help to spend that time to really figure out what was going on at the root cause. And so that's what I've done for the last 14 years is create customized wellness plans for my patients based on what's going on with their body. So what we would have to do is just check the basic lab tests and based on what insurance will cover, which usually isn't a lot. And even from a knowledge and understanding perspective, just looking back, as a mainstream doctor, I was in family medicine. We just didn't know what to look for. We didn't know or understand what was going on. I didn't know at the time, but I knew something was happening. So what I started to do was really start to dig into the research and read a lot after hours. So I would probably get off work at 5:30 or 6 p.m., go home, maybe eat a little dinner, and then from that time until maybe midnight, 1, 2 a.m., I was just reading studies, looking at articles, trying to figure out what is going on. Why is everybody so exhausted, but their lab tests are coming out normal? And really, a big part of the issue is that the lab tests that we have aren't designed to diagnose things like fatigue or brain fog or any of that, because they're coming from places, and there is a real reason for it, a real physical reason that can be tested for. It's just in the mainstream system, that's not what we do. It's not what they're looking for, because it doesn't match up with a diagnosis that they can send to insurance to get paid for. And that's the difference. And another issue that we were finding with the test is that most doctors, when they see the lab panel, if it all says green, 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 normal, normal, normal down the list, then they think it's normal. But that's not how lab results actually work. Because when we're looking at test results or anything like that, we have to match it up with what's happening with you. So one level might be normal on an ordinary day, but depending on what's going on, that lab level can change, or it should be different based on the situation that's happening. So it's not just a one-to-one factor of this level showed up in the normal range on this test. It's like we have to look at other factors. Is it on the high end of normal, the low end of normal? Does it make sense for what's going on in your situation, in your condition? And so once I started putting all those pieces together and really digging into the research, I also realized that a lot of the lab test ranges that we go by are antiquated. They are so outdated and obsolete. We got a lot of the lab tests initially that were developed in the 1920s. That's 100 years ago. And so we have 100 years of research in between when these lab tests were developed and those lab ranges were set as normal for the information that they had then. So how have we incorporated what we know now about labs and the tests? And then the doctor is just looking at the range and saying, well, yours is normal, so I guess you're normal, even though you're clearly sitting there exhausted and suffering and miserable, and they're not figuring out why. The other thing is that we can't just take the lab range by itself. We have to understand where your level is in that range. Is it on the high end? Is it on the low end? And does that make sense for what's going on in your body and for what's happening around you and in your life? So those are several issues with lab testing and why a lot of things come out normal. And so later I'm going to talk about what type of tests we can do instead that does help us get the information we need to tell us, why would somebody be exhausted? Why would someone be having brain fog when they're clearly a very high functioning individual, very smart, probably have started their own business or running a team, running a company, those sorts of situations? These are the type of clients I see who have everything together, who have done lots of great work in the world, but now their body seems to be falling apart. The second thing I wanted to talk about is from that point, we're feeling kind of jaded. Like, okay, I came to the doctor for answers and I'm leaving even more confused. And I'm not sure if I'm being gaslighted, if are the medical professionals just incompetent? Why can't anybody figure out what's going on with me? Is my body broken? And so it's easy to get to that place where it feels like, what's going on with me? Why don't I have any answers? Because if you had the answer to why it's happening, then we can clearly fix what's happening. And so instead, in this scenario, this is what tends to happen. Now we go kind of trying to chase down the symptoms and figure out, what can I do for that? So when it's exhaustion and fatigue and those sorts of things, a lot of people are out here selling solutions for symptoms. And so those are things like, oh, the B vitamins are coming, multivitamins, omegas. There are so many things that people are selling to give you energy. But that doesn't tell us why the problem is happening in the first place. And if we don't address the reason why it's happening, That's the reason that we're not getting better when we're trying these things. It gets into muddy waters because a lot of supplement quality is not good enough to fix the problem in the first place. This is why we're having a whole discussion about this, a whole season worth of podcasts talking about these issues. So, first of all, you got to have the right problem to match the solution that you're trying. So if you didn't check your B vitamin levels, which, if you check it with the medical professionals, it's probably going to come out normal anyway. I just saw it today. I had lab results come across my desk that was sent from someone's PCP, and their B12 level was like 500 and something, which is in the normal range. But with that level of B12, you're in a functional deficiency. And they're going to be pretty exhausted. They're not going to be doing well. Their body may not be detoxifying well at those levels. And so this person, in spite of that level being in the normal range, will need B vitamin supplementation for B12. What it boils down to is we cannot treat symptoms. We have got to find the underlying cause, because low vitamin levels can cause fatigue. Low hormones can cause fatigue. Poor gut and digestion issues can cause fatigue. Thyroid issues can cause fatigue. So many things can cause fatigue. Anemia. It's a laundry list of things that can cause the exact same symptoms. And what I see is most people will have a combination of those things going on. And once you kind of fix each one of those, then you actually get to the solution. And so these one-size-fits-all fixes don't ever work. But then you're seeing online these people who are like, oh, I took this or I did that and it worked for me. Well, that's them and you're you. We have to start with you and your body to figure out what's going on with you. And once we understand that, now you can build out your specific strategy to correct each and every imbalance that's happening with you and your body. That's how we get the solution, not just randomly trying this and randomly trying that and drinking more caffeine. I mean, caffeine is never going to fix the problem. Is it a good patch? Yeah, it works. It's effective. It'll give you energy in the temporary short term, but it's never going to fix the underlying hormone imbalance. It's never going to fix the underlying gut imbalance. It's never going to fix the underlying or functional thyroid imbalance. It's not going to address any of those things. And there can be more than that. So we don't want to just kind of put it off to a patch, because whatever imbalances are actually happening are leading to a more serious problem in the body coming up in the future. And that can really lead to some heart problems, vascular problems, strokes, cancers, issues that we don't want to have in our future. And so this is why it's super important to actually figure out what's really happening at the end of the day. And it just doesn't stop with supplements. I have people who are trying diet after diet. I'm on keto, I'm on AIP, I'm on vegan, I'm on paleo. Okay, I'm on carnivore. It's like, all of them can work in a specific situation, but we have to, again, start with ourselves. You got to start with your own body and figure out from there which one makes sense, what's the match for you. And I'm telling you, these marketers are good, so good at selling their product, their program, their supplement. They are great at what they do, and that's why we're here to learn and to get educated, so we don't get swept up into all the hype and frenzy about this solution is going to work and then it doesn't work again, because that's wasting your time. And we don't have a lot of time. If your body is already giving you signals that something is out of balance, we don't have time to be playing around. It's time to get those things fixed and corrected, and you can get those fixed and have your energy turned around in even as little as 2 weeks. But we have to understand and be able to see and know what's actually happening in your body. So how do you do that? How do you stop chasing symptoms, trying supplements from A to Z under the sun, doing every single diet, every single workout, trying this, that, and the other thing, and nothing's working. You're just getting more frustrated. You still have work to do. And usually the symptoms are getting worse and worse at the same time because we're not finding the right solution. And so what we do in that situation is actually start with your body. We start with functional lab testing, which is very different than the conventional basic lab tests that most doctors run, even specialists in the mainstream system. Those tests aren't looking for the root causes. And I do say root causes because there is more than one. Like, there's not been one single client that I've seen who, oh, your one root cause is thyroid or your one root cause is hormones. No, it's usually a combination of gut, cortisol, thyroid, neurotransmitters, nutrient deficiencies, all of those things combined, plus more. I check 7 main areas in every client to make sure that we're getting a good comprehensive plan and understanding of what's out of balance. Because once we find those imbalances, now we can create that very targeted, very specific strategy to fix those things. And once you fix the imbalance, and bring the lows and bring those to normal and bring the highs and bring those down to normal, now the body knows how to heal, how to correct itself. We give the body what it needs because it's designed to heal in the first place. And that's how you get better. It's your own specific plan, not one that is cookie cutter or made for Joe down the street or Jane next door. That won't work for you. You're not them. So the strategy I use is super simple. Do the test. Figure out what are your root cause imbalances. Create a plan with an expert who knows how to actually interpret those tests. A lot of people are running tests, even some really good tests, but they have no clue what they're looking at. They're not trained. I don't know how they're learning this information or not learning it, but they aren't able to put all the pieces together, that full comprehensive plan in the context of what's going on with you and your life. Plus, it has to be something that's practical and doable for you, where you can feel the improvements. And like I said, most people are feeling better within 2 weeks. Now, that is not the same thing as having the imbalances corrected. Once we give your body what it needs, your body's like, oh, finally, I can breathe. But at a cellular level, it takes about 3 to 6 months to really get the body to start to heal, where you're not having to take all those supplements to fill in those imbalances anymore. And that's how the process works. That's how we get results consistently every single time. If you need or want any help with that, feel free to book a free call with me. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can do that. It's open to anyone, absolutely anyone. Whether we work together or not, it doesn't matter. I just want to help you get on the right track to feeling better because we need you. We need your work in the world. You need your brain on. You need your energy back. And that's what this is about. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out this week. I so appreciate it. We will be talking so much more about this topic this entire season, about what do we do, getting into more details about how to manage our energy, how to manage the labs, which ones do we check, how do I know, who do I go to, what supplements do I take. We got to cover a lot of bases to understand what's actually happening and how to get to those solutions that we really need that will be effective and actually work. I'm Dr. Angela Mosley, and I'll see you on the next episode of The Doc Mo Show. Thanks for watching. Bye.